is it okay to use tasers when a fan becomes unruly? Well, let's look at some of the examples. On Friday, officers subdued a 36-year-old man watching the second round of the Players' Championship. They tasered him. Officials say the man was yelling at players and that he heckled Tiger Woods. The man reportedly got so out of hand, officers zapped him with a 50,000-volt stun gun. And last Monday, a Philadelphia police officer, you remember this video, used a stun gun on a teenager, taser on a teenager, who was racing around the outfield during the Phillies game. And that set off a huge debate of whether they went too far. And joining us to talk about it from Columbus, Ohio, is Richard Weinblatt, a Taser instructor who was a former police officer. And from San Francisco, Petra de Jesus, commissioner with the San Francisco Police Commission. Thank you both for joining us. So, Richard, I'll start off with you. I mean, the guy who's at the golf tournament, that's supposed to be the sport of gentlemen. Maybe his behavior was a little out of control, but did he need to be tased?
From what we can tell, Tamron, and you know me, you've interviewed me before,
yeah.
You know I'm not always pro-police, but from what we can tell in this case, I do believe that they did the right thing. Look, I saw Iron Man 2 this weekend, and if somebody came into a movie theater and heckled, and security came over and said, please stop, and I didn't, or the other person didn't, and then the law enforcement folks said, please stop, and they don't, and they say, please leave, and they don't, and then they go to arrest him, and he resists. That's what he got arrested for. He got arrested for resisting arrest and disorderly intoxication.
Petra, what's your view on this one?
You know, I think you really got to look at the risk versus the benefit. I mean, tasers, even as used as directed, causes unintended consequences of serious bodily injury and or, on a rare occasion, death. Yeah. And the question is that the penalty you need to pay for being intoxicated at a golf course?
Richard, to Petra's point, 351 people, according to Amnesty International, have died since 2000 as a result of being tased. I mean, this is supposed to be an option rather than using deadly force. I think, assume that they weren't thinking of deadly force with this guy at the Phillies game. So why use this option?
Well, first off, you got to realize that there have been a lot of studies. There was a Justice Department study not too long ago. A lot of studies that have shown that the taser is actually relatively safe. If you think about what the other options are, okay, and everybody thinks there's just a magic bullet that we can just kind of put our fingers on people and like Mr. Spock just put them out by squeezing their shoulder. You can't do that. There's more injuries that way.
Obviously, if there is a situation where someone's life clearly is in danger, I think anyone watching would say, you know, bring this person down. We don't want you to kill him, but you got to bring this person under control. Right. But when you're looking at the Phillies game and this goofy guy zigzagging across, was there when you look at that video, do you think someone's life was in danger? And I'm not saying it couldn't have been, but look at the video. Richard?
Well, you don't know. You don't know. Look, in 2002, Tom Gamboa got a permanent hearing loss in his right ear because two fans attacked him. Did we know what they were going to do beforehand? No. And it turned out a knife came out of their pocket.
Yeah,
so
that
was in the Kansas City Royals game. So you don't know what people are going to do until they do it. And that's not, a police officer does not read minds. We just have to deal with what we know at the time.
And Petra, to that point, 1993, we saw what happened to Monica Seles when she was attacked by a fan with a knife. But the last question I have for you, Petra, are we tased crazy? Have people become tased crazy?
Right. I mean, I think it has a real potential for abuse because policing, there's policing to do. And if you can see that the person doesn't have a weapon, it's an unarmed person, it's for a very relatively minor offense, they shouldn't be tased given the dangers that tasers pose. You need to do policing. You can't escape that. And if you need to use some type of force and muscles to remove that person, then that's what you need to do rather than incapacitate him with a device that could seriously injure him.
Richard, Petra, you both make great points on this debate. We greatly appreciate it. So I guess the rule is just stay off the baseball field so you don't become a video tase moment. Well, crossing the line, you tell me. Go to Tamron.msnbc.com to vote, or you can Twitter me your response, twitter.msnbc.com. We'll have the results of the vote tomorrow, but let us know your thoughts. That wraps up this hour.